What's up, y'all? It's KB. And if you're here and you're like me, you love movies too. So, welcome to an open conversation. I do these every once in a while just to make sure there are no questions out there lingering about what I think about some movie thing. But yeah, this actually came about because you know how people say, have you Googled yourself? I decided to take that to the next level and just everything to do with the YouTube channel and with the podcast. And I said, I wonder what it's like if you like AI search, Gemini or Perplexity or any of those yourself or your channel just to see what it comes up with. Because, like many other YouTubers, I don't just have my channel, but I go on other people's channels and so forth. So I just wanted to see what was out there. And yeah, some of the things that were there were quite interesting. Some of them was way off key. So I just decided to just take some of the facts and talk about it. I made a little PowerPoint slide and I'm just going to bring them up. And I did it twice. I did it twice because I did it on my work computer and then I was like, ooh, can't save it there. So I also have another one that I did here, but I think I'll just go through them and see what it says and, just talk about fact versus fiction. But, if you have any questions, it says open conversation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Try to keep it movie related. Um, if it's something just like way off kilter, I might just skip it, but I'll try to get to everyone in the chat as we go along, especially in open conversation, because it's not just for me. This is also for you in attendance too. So just initially, let's see who's in attendance. So first on the check-in, we got my man Steve Moody saying hi to everyone in the chat as well as me. Good evening, sir. Always good to see you. We got Adrian James on the check-in. How are you, sir? Good to see you as always. And if you have Adrian, we also have Holland. Come on, the two of you need to be on a conversation. We've been saying it for a while. We could pre-record if you don't want to have the audience thing. We could even make it an audio-only podcast, but the two of you individually and collectively are just too interesting from my perspective not to include. New old hat or old new hat. I just don't wear it that often, but it's still February. I want a little bit of red, and it's actually black with a little bit of red, so matches my theme I got going on here. So why not? As I said, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Keep them movie related. But I wanted to start to go through this stuff that I have here the for the facts that Gemini pulls. So, for those of you that don't know, Gemini is a product of Google and it's their AI. It's actually getting more powerful by the day, as you can imagine. There is a kind of like a test app attachment to it called Nana Banana. And it was so successful from the jump and it works really well, like scary well. It allows you to create any types of images just off of I don't know, text suggestion. So I wanted a cigar lounge today. And I was like, hey, create an image with a cigar lounge. And it had people in it and a bartender. I was like, oh, take the people out. Literally typed it like that. And it gave me the same lounge, but with different bartender. I mean, no bartender, no people. And then I was like, try a different lounge, make it closer up. And like literally, as you put in commands, it just keeps going with AI. But Gemini on a whole, because it's owned by Google and so is YouTube, is able to scrape YouTube channels. Don't think it's yours because your name's on it. And yeah, it could pull information not only in my case from KB Loves Movies, but anytime I'm on other people's channels. If I've done interviews on other people's channels, it scraped all of that. Some of it, as I said before, some of it is fact, some of it is fiction. and we'll clarify that as we go along. We got Princey Prince in the house. What is up? Good to see you as always. All right, I want to start this. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to hit play on this. Hopefully you could see me in the bottom right. I can't see myself. So I just made a little PowerPoint presentation. I'll just jump out every once in a while to check in with the chat and so forth. Once again, any questions, drop them in. So it pulled all these different categories when I first did it. And first one was personal background, hometown roots. KB grew up in Brooklyn, New York. True. Specifically Kings County. Kings County is Brooklyn. So there's no part of Brooklyn that's not Kings County. Spent his 400 years in the 70s and 80s. That's right, I'm a 70s and 80s kid, which heavily influenced his taste in cinema. Very true. I went from the 70s and seeing a lot of Disney vault movies and um, early movies that came out, especially towards the end of the 70s, of course, most famously 1977 with Star Wars. I seen a lot of movies before I should have, Jaws, Exorcist, yeah. But 80s is my favorite decade when it comes to movies. So not only for the comedies and teenage movies, but also as I got older for the slashers and the horror movies. So it's true, it did heavily influence my taste in cinema. Family life. It says he has a daughter named Kayla. Shout out to the third KB. That's why we call her that. Who sometimes watches movies with him. Yes, she does. Not as often as I would like. You know, dad always wanted to spend more time with his kids. And even if it's the 480p Seinfeld on Netflix, that is something she does, not we do together. So my daughter's obsessed with Seinfeld. She has it on her phone. She's in the shower. She's in the bedroom, walking back and forth, fixing a sandwich, whatever. She's watching Seinfeld, really listening to it. And she will come down here to the basement, and I have the 83-inch OLED, and she will watch it on the OLED. But Netflix is like so terrible. It's so terrible as far as the resolution for what they have. They really need to have the HD versions on there like they did for Friends. But she will come down and watch Seinfeld on the big screen. So yeah, I'm not watching that with her. Current location, eventually moved from New York to New Jersey, currently resides in Kansas City. That's true. Height. This is something a lot of you don't know. He's been tall for a long time. Very true. Standing at 6'5", very true. He notes this helped him get into R-rated movies like DC Cab when he was only 12 or 13 because he looked older. Height mattered. So if you towered over the box office when you would go to get your ticket, I quickly learned you can get into movies you're not supposed to, except for RoboCop, and I think that's going to come up again. Let's see. If I go back, see who else is checking in. We got Johnny. What up, cool kid? We got Chris, bearded film guy. I really enjoyed you and Ryan on Sunday at the Shell Shock Awards. Thank you for letting me be a part of that as always. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And you guys did a great job. I was on an airplane while watching it. So that was fun because my T-Mobile Wi-Fi was acting a fool. And I was like, oh, I saw my part. And then I missed like 20 minutes. And then I was going back, trying to get back to the 20 minutes I missed. So I just waited until I land and I watched the rest of it. But good to see you, my man, always. Check out Beyond the Blood podcast. They do a great job on there. So, yeah, let me get back into this. All right. Movie and collecting habits. Let's see how true this is. Physical media enthusiast. He is dedicated. He is a dedicated collector of Blu-rays, 4Ks, and Criterions. I don't know why they separate Criterions that way. He admits to owning certain movies like the Bruce Lee collection up to 4 times across different formats. Very true. I had the VHS tapes. I just put it in the category of martial arts, and A lot of kids from New York City collected martial arts tapes, whether it was that, Shaw Brothers, older stuff like Jet Li and Jackie Chan. But I had it on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, some of them, not all of them. Then I had the Bruce Lee collection. Now I have some of them on 4K. Theater rituals. As a teenager, I used the cinema as a safe space to stay out of trouble. I like the way they deducted that. He famously saw The Untouchable 17 times in the theater. So the story behind that was we went to funny enough, it wasn't so safe because it was a gang-related area. What up, DCEPs? Um, yeah, I went to a multiplex where you would pay to get into one movie, and then they didn't care once you paid to get in, you could go see whatever. So every time there was a new movie that Saturday I would go, I would end up going back to see The Untouchables again. And once you see it once, you could kind of jump in anywhere. So I was jumping in anywhere to see it, uh, usually as close to the beginning as possible. But yeah, I did that 17 times. The dad experience. What's this about? One of his core memories is his father taking him to see Star Wars. Yes, we didn't call it A New Hope. We called it Star Wars in 77 during its re-release before Empire Strikes Back. Yes, 79 or 80. I think that's when they had the re-release. Only for his dad fall asleep during the movie. Yeah, the laser guns kept waking him up, but the lightsabers had him lulling to sleep. So that and also Raiders of the Lost Ark. Those are the two movies I remember him falling asleep in. He couldn't fall asleep in Battlestar Galactica because that was too loud. Look up Battlestar Galactica. I think it was called Stereoscope. The sound was so loud it made people's ears bleed. True fact. First rated R memory, his first accidental R-rated experience was a double feature where the family-friendly Grizzly Adams was paired with the gritty, adult-oriented film Sparkle. His mom rushed him out of the theater when the spicy scenes started. I like the way you put that, spicy. Yeah, very true, very true. Double feature, RKO Kenmore on Church Avenue in Flatbush in Brooklyn. Whoever was programming that day, not a good look. Not a good look whatsoever. Favorite films? Let's see. He considers Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing to be a masterpiece. True. And one of the greatest movies ever made. True, in my opinion. Other major influences include New Jack City. I mean, that's a hood classic, but Juice and Taxi Driver. Not even my favorite Scorsese, but you know, it's all good. Should have been Goodfellas, and I guess that's my favorite Tupac is Juice. But yeah, I don't know. Those are some interesting choices there. Let's just keep it at that. Let's see. Let's continue. This is fun. I'll go back into it. Let's see. Fun tidbits. Yankees fan. He's almost always seen wearing a Yankees fitted cap, which he refers to as his crown. Shout out to my boy Culture Trini. What up, what up, what up? Salute. The thing about that, some people think it's just a dedication to the sports team. It is. I grew up watching the Yankees. I always joke that Phil Rizzuto used to put me to sleep. This is just making more things for Gemini to scrape in the future. Yeah, my dad used to watch a game and I would watch it with him. Sometimes I'd sit on the steps and watch it as he watched it. But I grew up a Yankees fan since 78, 79, Reggie Jackson, all that good stuff. But most New Yorkers, unless you're a diehard Mets fan, shout out to Geeks and Flicks. Um, unless you're a diehard Mets fan, most New Yorkers walk around wearing a Yankees cap of some sort. So I'm always a New Yorker, regardless of where I am. So it's just a part of the outfit. Driving style. Ooh, this is fun. He claims that despite living in the suburbs now, his aggressive New York driving habits haven't left him, never will. Once causing his daughter, not Kayla, my other daughter, to have a minor panic attack while driving through a tunnel back in the city. Yes, we ventured into New York for a family wedding and everything. And it's just something about being back in the city. You can't drive like you're just driving down a tree-lined suburban street. So you have to be a little aggressive and a little defensive when you're driving, unless you want to sit at a traffic light in the, 42nd Street for three turns of that light. So yeah, the aggressive driving, as it puts, scared my younger daughter. Musical past, he's also mentioned that he was a 90s rapper before becoming a film YouTuber. Okay, we've come across our first fiction. There is a Christian rapper, I believe, named KB, Kevin Burgess or Burris or something like that. So I think Google was getting a little confused. I am not a 90s rapper. If anything, in the 90s, I was a DJ, but it doesn't mention that. Sports rivals or rivalries. He is a dedicated fan of the New York Knicks and enjoys a historic rivalry with the Indiana Pacers. That was the 90s, and that was a great rivalry back then. Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, um, Reggie Miller, and the Pacers, the Davis boys. I see you, Nathan Jones. Yeah, back then, I like to tell people I've officially divorced the New York Knicks until their owner sells the team. So that's my little thing right there. Let's see. We got Eli in the house. What is up? Telling everyone, don't forget to slash that like button and sub to this awesome channel. Thank you, sir. Always good to see you. That's the sound that my wife is home. So the dogs are going to say hi. Ha ha ha. KB actually made the Yankees hat more famous than a Yankee can. Got a little Jigga Man quote in there. Don't let him fool you. It's a part of the uniform, man. It really is. So yes, I like that. Good quote. Good quote. Let's continue with the tidbits. Once again, if you have any questions for me, go ahead and bring them in. If you're watching this on the replay, I'm really good with answering comments and questions. So if you leave one of them in the comments, I will get back to you. So let's see. The movement mentality. KB often describes his channel and his presence as a movement. For him, it isn't just about showing off plastic cases. No, no hate to any of those that do. It's about advocating for the preservation of film and sharing the history of cinema. Yeah, that's true, particularly Black cinema and independent films to ensure they aren't forgotten in digital age. When, we have every streaming service under the sun, and it still amazes me how many movies that I have on physical that I've never seen streaming anywhere. And I don't know, it's just a matter of things that we have on physical media not being on streaming and things that we have on DVD and VHS not being available in Blu-ray and 4K. So to me, it's about, like it says there, preservation of film, because for every one of those, everyone's talking about Warner Brothers being bought and the scary fact that things like Warner Archive might go away. So the scary thought is the amount of movies that people will never experience. Like I love The Thin Man. It's a series with this husband and wife, and they solve crimes. And I think it's one of the earliest films to have a series of sequels to it. Um, I could show that to someone today and they could fall in love with it. But if they don't have access to it because Warner Archive goes away and it's not ever on streaming, how will they be turned on to it? Or think of all the movies from the 20s and the 30s that we've lost. As far as what it says there about Black cinema and independent films, that's a combination of things. I have Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It right there, and I could have easily put Clerks or Slacker or any of those 90s independent films that actually made a big splash. Hollywood Shuffle, anything with the Hudlin brothers, before House Party. And yeah, it's like it's about finding those things and sharing it with other people. I do enjoy collecting, but it's not just about having 4 or 5 copies of something on the shelf. Like I'll just share it. Like last night, I ended up watching High and Low, which is my favorite non-samurai Kurosawa film, and funny enough, Spike Lee remade it into Highest and Lowest, or Highest to Lowest, and I'm there contemplating if I should go from Blu-ray to 4K. Is it worth it? Well, the whole thing is I'm okay with just keeping the Blu-ray for now because it's still about film. It's still about the movie. It's still about sharing the movie with someone if they come over to watch it. And if I have the Blu-ray, I could take it somewhere if someone has a Blu-ray player or whatever. So it is about preservation of film. I'm a big Scorsese fan. He has his projects about film preservation, and his company's doing that. Shout out to Charlotte from Perf Damage Podcast. She's doing that for Paramount. So I think we have a lot of history and a lot of art behind us that it's scary to think of losing them. So that's why it's so important for me. I love the special editions and the steel books and all that stuff. I'll get a one click one day, I'm sure. But to me, it's more about the movies. It's more about the content than the packaging and, special features and all that. And I love special features. I love commentaries. But when it comes down to it, I love the movies. It's in the hashtag down there. I love movies. Let's finish this up and then we'll come back to it with the other ones. Physical media and collector trivia. Here we go. The Criterion sales strategy. Like many other hardcore collectors, KB is a strategist during the Barnes & Noble 50% off Criterion sales, as well as Criterion flash sales and their twice a year 30% off sales. He stresses the importance of hitting the sale within the first 10 to 15 hours. Yes, this is something I do. So when next month, if history serves us any good, when Criterion has their 24-hour flash sale of 50%, I already have my 4 or 5 titles lined up that I'm going to get. And I do that so that as soon as the sale starts, 12:01 Eastern time, boom, I'm putting in my order. I got the money aside. I got the titles aside. I'm not going to sit. That's not the time for browsing. Get the titles you want. And if you're saying it's Criterion, they never sell out. Well, I tried to get Sorcerer last year and I had to wait. They do sell out. The Pong effect. KB has a strict rule about watching DVDs on a large modern screen. He jokes that a standard DVD on a big 4K TV looks like Pong, referring to the pixelated 1970s video game. I don't remember when I said this, which is why he's so obsessed with 4K restoration upgrades. That part is true. I do like a good 4K. I also like a good Blu-ray. If 4K is not available, sometimes you don't really even need it. But this is also before I got my upgraded 4K player, which does a really good job at upscaling. I could watch a DVD down here, and unlike Seinfeld, it looks really, really good. Shelving struggles, every collector has them. In mid-2023, he moved into a new movie room. I don't remember that. Even after getting the TV up, he admitted to having boxes of movies still on the floor, including his prestigious Criterion collection. This is really heavy on Criterion here because he ran out of shelf space, a classic collector's problem. Yeah, we all have that issue. Right now, I could probably use at least a half shelf, if not another full shelf. And I'm looking at this empty space here where my dog Ahsoka likes to lie down. And I'm like, I could put another shelf there. Then I'm also looking under my DJ equipment. And I'm like, I could push those shelves over and put a half shelf there. So it's always about space, and more movies, you need more shelves. So looking for new places to put it. Let's see, RoboCop regret. Despite being a massive fan of the film, KB didn't actually see RoboCop until the Criterion DVD release. Yes, because theater security at that same multiplex that I used to go to was so strict about his age when it first came out in 1987. Yeah, as I said before, they had a separate entrance for the one rated R movie, and then the rest were like PG 13. I still remember going to see Dirty Dancing there, and I couldn't get into RoboCop. So I had to wait until Criterion, which I was new to at the time, and they brought out RoboCop on DVD. So that's how I saw it. Cinematic philosophies, and I'll get back to the chat. The Real New Yorker. Ooh, what's this? KB is very vocal about the differences between movie New York and real New York. Yeah, it's a big deal. When you see New York City, as people put it, or Manhattan, as New Yorkers never call it, you just see Manhattan. You just see the business, or you see Fifth Avenue. You don't see the more residential areas. You don't see Queens. You don't see Brooklyn. You definitely don't see the BX. You don't see the Bronx. Definitely don't see Staten Island unless it's a documentary on the Wu-Tang Clan or something like that, or a Pete Davidson movie. So, yes, he identifies as a Brooklynite first. Oh, wait. He hates the trope of Manhattan. I just repeated that being the only part of the city. It's not. He identifies as a Brooklynite first and foremost and notes that real New Yorkers rarely visit tourist spots like the Empire State Building. It's very true. If it wasn't out of town guests, family members visiting, or a school trip, I didn't go to any of those tourist spots. If you're from New York, leave it in the comments or leave it in the chat if you actually used to go to tourist spots while you lived in New York. Keep it real. Subtitles versus dubs. I had this issue today. While he grew up in a time where dub movies were common, Shaw Brothers, he was evolved into a subtitle purist. Very true. He believes dubbing loses the essence of the actor's performance. So true. So today I watched The Ugly Stepsister because I missed it last year at the film festival I go to, and it was an English dub. It was on Hulu, and I feel like I didn't get the full essence of the movie. So I'm going to rewatch it. I was trying to watch it to decide if I should get the new second sight that came out yesterday or Monday if you're in the UK. And yeah, I still don't know if I want it or not. So I'm going to watch it again. Hopefully, I can borrow someone's copy who has it and see if that makes a difference. But movie's good. Uh, movie's really good. I enjoyed it. I want to give it like a 3.25, but I want to wait because I know if I watch it with subtitles, it'll probably push it up closer to a 4. New York 1977. This is heavy on New York too. The hat, everything. He has a deep fascination with the year 77, not just for Star Wars, but because of New York City blackout. I like to see 77 movies getting love. I was thinking about this, like Sorcerer and Black Sunday and Martin. They're all getting like boutique labels like Shine. And it's nice to see it because a lot of people don't know about that time period in New York, the gritty New York movies and other movies from that year as well. He knows that many legendary hip hop DJs got their start that year because turntables became accessible during the blackout. Very true. Very true. A lot of hip hop groups and DJs had their start after that blackout in July. So I'm just going to finish this up. Channel staples and favorites, Spike Lee connection. KB doesn't just like Spike Lee, he feels a personal connection with him because they grew up in the same neighborhoods at similar times. He views movies like Crooklyn as a literal mirror of his childhood. Very, very true. My early years were in a brownstone, very similar to the ones that we see in Crooklyn. Genre fluidity, that almost said something else. While he loves gritty crime dramas, he isn't a snob. He's been known to praise family classics like Benji and Swiss Family Rum. Yo, Benji is still good. Stating a good movie still slaps. This is outdated. Regardless of the target audience, safe neighborhood multiplex as a teen, he would take the bus to the specific safe neighborhood multiplexes to watch PG-13 movies, then sneak into the rated R side of the theater once he was inside. Okay, I like this overuse of safe. That's just code for it was the white neighborhoods. Let's keep it a million. It was the white neighborhood multiplexes. But I also went to the ones in my neighborhood and other people's neighborhoods. Della Movies, we always talk about Sunrise Cinemas, which was out between Queens and Long Island. They had one of the greatest multiplexes ever. I went to Sheepshead Bay, also a quote unquote safe neighborhood to keep the theme going. Yeah, I was all over the place. If there was a movie, I went to the movie. I didn't wait for it to show up necessarily in my neighborhood. And yeah, I like that whole thing about being safe. Oh man, that was fun. There's more, but those were the ones that I I pulled from the first Gemini search. So let's see. Let's see. What do you got here, Prince? Is the subtle warrior fit enough for me to make A new nickname. You know my love for foreign movies. Oh, the subtitle warrior. Yeah, I like that. I like that you always switch up your names and everything. So yeah, go for it. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. Hopefully everybody was able to see those slides. Yeah, let me take a look at some of the other ones here. So, okay, so this one talks about my full name and brand. I'm just starting from the beginning. It says my full name. It says operates under his own production banner called Someone's Favorite Production. That is incorrect. Someone's Favorite Production is put out by my friend Ryan Verrill, also known as The Disconnected. And that's an offshoot of his production company that he has that does video essays and special features along with Dr. Will Dodson. And it's where I have my podcast version of the conversation with KB Loves Movies. Physical media champion, not just a movie fan, dedicated collector, boutique Blu-rays, highlights releases from companies like Vinegar Syndrome. I don't have a lot of those. Criterion Arrow, got a lot of those. Collection tours. He often shares updates on his shelving situations. I just complain about it. And the growth of his massive movie library. Not that massive. What's up, Mr. Tony? The Conversation in 5 Takes, known for his signature segments. Most popular is the 5 Takes, where he or his guest, my guest, must answer 5 rapid fire questions about their movie preferences. This format has become a staple of his interview style. Yeah, almost very true, except I don't do it myself that often. His movie taste is all terrain. I don't know what that means. Let's see what that means. Doesn't stick to one genre based on his discussions and guest appearances. Scream franchise, not Nightmare on Elm Street. Scream franchise. Massive fan of the Scream series. Frequently discusses horror tropes. Well, yeah, and I guess that's tied in. For a matter of fact, this is Scream Week for all Ghostface lovers. So if you want a good conversation to watch, go back and watch the one that I did with my friends Eric and Melissa. They are true diehard Scream fans. They've been doing Scream Week all week on Instagram. And it's a good time if you haven't checked that out after we're done here. Just go check them out because they're really into it. They're really dedicated. The comfort classics. He has a soft spot for 90s blockbusters, nostalgia heavy films like Armageddon and Dirty Dancing. Interesting. Collaboration King. KB is highly active in the YouTube film community. He frequently guest hosts or collaborates with other channels and podcasts. That's cool. He launched a dedicated podcast in 2025. He started on YouTube. He expanded his brand by launching a professional podcast titled The Conversation with KB Loves Movies. The show focuses on the person behind the cinephile, exploring how his guests first fell in love with movies. Because that's fun. I like that part. Let's see. Big 3. For those of you that are in the chat, what would you say just from me doing like live streams and so forth? What would you say are my 3 big movies that I enjoy the most? I want to hear what you have to say. Oh, Prince, I'll come back to that in a moment. But just in the meanwhile, just name 3 of my favorite films. I'd like to see what you guys have to say in the chat. And if you haven't been in the chat yet, you've just been lurking, hey, welcome back. Put your answers. What are the 3 movies that you think I enjoy the most? My 3 favorites. Because this is almost true here. It says Star Wars Return of the Jedi. I wouldn't put that in my top 3. Back to the Future, that's one of my favorite 80s movies. Considers this a perfect movie in terms of script and pacing. Empire, yeah. Jedi is his heart favorite. He acknowledges Empire as the pinnacle of the franchise craft. I don't see that. Absolute masterpieces. KB often gives these films its highest possible ratings. Godfather, Shawshank, Schindler's List. Candyman. Candyman is a new one for me because yes, feel free to chat and put in your question. Um, if you go on Dell on Movies channel, when he had early movie swap, he found out that it was 32 years that I haven't seen Candyman. So, of course, he had me assigned to watch it. And it's a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I even watched the remake, requel, whatever you want to call it, the one that was produced by Jordan Peele. And that was really good too. I enjoyed that, but not as good as the OG. Rest in peace, Tony Todd. Princey Prince with the Star Wars Kill Sinners. One of the three. Kill and Sinners are too new, but I would say Sinners is definitely my favorite movie from last year. I hope it continues to sweep all the awards and so forth. Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, they deserve it. What's his name? Ludwig Jorgensen, he deserves it. All the fellow actors, cast, and crew, they all deserve it. Funny enough, you mentioned Kill. I have it right here. I have an unwatched pile. So what I'm doing is, as I get new movies in, I'm not putting them on the shelf immediately. I'm gonna give myself a chance to watch it. And I just got in Kill. I went for the slip and not the steelbook. Let's see. Steve, Battlefield Earth, Hell to the Nah. Third Man, good choice. Great movie. Definitely one of my favorites. I put it up there. I enjoy that more than Orson Welles' Citizen Kane. Not discounting that, but just it's a better movie for me. I keep all the technicalities for Citizen Kane, but I enjoy rewatches of The Third Man more and more. Battlefield Earth, you're funny. You're funny. Yeah, Jessie Buckley deserves the world. Prince says, I enjoy to see how the sweep that she's doing. And it's really, everybody's saying it's that one scene in the movie, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more. Her performance through the whole thing, her mysterious intrigue of her character, she plays it well, she hides it well. Yeah. But definitely that cry is award winning, but it's the whole performance throughout the movie for sure. For sure. Let's see. You're funny. Uh, yeah. So just want to stay on for a few more minutes. And then if you have any questions, drop them in now. Otherwise, I'm going to bounce. I didn't eat, so I'll probably go and eat some food after this. Did I finish with this? Oh, no, I still had more. So action and thriller favorites. Says KB has a specific love for the blueprint movies of the 80s and 90s. Then it goes on to list one from the 80s, 70s, and 90s. So it says Die Hard to KB, this is definitive action movie blueprint. And yes, he considers it a Christmas movie. Very, very true. Jaws, 1975. He ranks this as his favorite Spielberg movie, citing the masterful buildup of terror. Yeah, the more and more I watch Jaws, the realization of the influence that Hitchcock had on young Steven Spielberg of, making suspense instead of just treating it as straight horror and giving the reveal. It also has to do with the problems he had with the mechanical shark. Hey, Bruce. Seven, 1995. Yeah, he appreciates Fincher's dark atmosphere and frequently praised the music for being a deep detective story rather than cheap entertainment. Very true. And he does a lot of camera movements that shows that he knows what he's doing in that movie. Recent 10 out of 10 loves. I don't know how true this is. Substance, full episode. Yeah, that's on the podcast. I did a full episode talking about the social commentary of The Substance with Brittany. She was fun to talk to. Parasite, very true. Considers this a modern masterpiece with its class related rage and perfect pacing. Very true. Dark Knight. I was telling my friend the other day that every Oscar Sunday, I watch Dark Knight right before the ceremony begins. It's like my little tribute to Heath Ledger's performance, and also a little dedication to my favorite superhero movie. And games up there, but still The Dark Knight for me. Uh, yeah, superhero film views it as more of a high stakes crime drama. Very true. Let's see. How's Kate doing? I miss her. Send her my regards, will you? I will. Kate's Kate's busy. Kate is busy, and we've tried several attempts to get together and go see a movie, or both of us see a movie independently and say, "Hey, let's talk about it." But we'll keep trying because the whole thing is we used to do the Center Seed podcast weekly, and that was pre-pandemic into the pandemic, and it was almost like a given. It was like, it's Wednesday, let's record. And then I'd have it up by Friday. So the great thing about us is we're such good friends that like literally we could just pick up where we left off, and might be a little rusty as far as presentation and, you know, try not to jump on each other's words. But by the end of the episode, we worked that out. So that's, Kate's a homie like that. So I look forward to the next episode. As I always tell her, I always look forward to the next episode. Let's see. 5 takes quick list. Interesting. If you were to ask KB for a quick ranking, these names would almost certainly appear. So this is showing like the certain ones that come up a lot in the 5 takes. Rocky, he calls it the best sports movie ever made. Very true. Aliens, I don't like what it says here. He prefers the high octane energy of the sequel over the original Alien. I still watch Alien more than Aliens, so I don't know about that. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Brr. No, I don't rank it above Raiders. And no, it's still the third best movie in the franchise. It's Temple of Doom, Raiders, then Last Crusade, in that order. Don't argue, don't fight me, no notes. 5 takes origin. This is kind of reflecting on what I was going through with Dell when he was on recently. Go back and check that out. Just talking about the origin of the 5 takes. It says the 5 take segment is KB's signature interview style. It was designed to move past the standard "What's your favorite movie?" question. The 5 questions where he typically uses to unlock a guest personality. It's very true. You learn a lot from people when you go beyond the "What's your favorite movie?" Um, getting into 5 favorites instead of the 5 or the best. It gives you a more well-rounded view of someone. Whereas if you say the best, they might just be, like the staples that everybody calls out. And then you have to wait for a guest to come on and give you like the offbeat, offshoot. And then I find myself saying, really? Okay, okay. And I say that a lot. But yeah, the film that made you fall in love with the movies, that's pure nostalgia. The 5 favorites, it's just any 5. Any 5. You want to tell me Scooby Doo 5 times? Still, um, this is not one of my questions, but it's here. Um, what do you consider a technically perfect movie? That's a good question, but it's not one of my 5. What movie do you love that everyone seems to hate? That's the original version. Dell was nice to bring that back up. If you could have one sequel to a movie, what would it be? I might steal these because these are actually good questions. They're not 5 takes questions, but I might come back to it. And then random trivia tidbits. Let's go about this without looking at the answers because it's all wrong. Before I do, how's my anime journey? It's pretty much DED, man. The last anime I saw was what you call it, K-pop Demon Hunters, and I only watched that for the Academy Award Challenge. I enjoyed it, and people are upset about it getting a Criterion. You know what? The more popular things that get Criterions, the more people check out Criterions. So yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. What's this? Can you pick the next big thing actors after the era of Van Damme, Seagal, Stallone, and Lundgren? I don't know if we're talking about action movie stars specifically. You have a couple of them. I would say Jet Li was up there for a while. Funny enough, I'm gonna name people that were in the Expendables, but Jason Statham is definitely up there. And before them, I would even say the person that definitely doesn't get enough love when it comes to physical media, it's like here and there, but not everywhere. And that's Wesley Snipes. There was a moment there where Wesley Snipes put out a action movie and we just went and saw it. It was like a given. We didn't care what it was. Oh, Wesley Snipes in a plane? Cool. Always bet on black. Oh, Wesley Snipes as a cop? Cool. Wesley Snipes as an obsessed fan? Let's go see it. Or Wesley Snipes as a baseball player? Let's go see it. Yeah. So I would say those three. Those three for me. First Love, the movie that made him first fall in love with cinema. It says here Jedi. I would say I was a kid when I saw Jedi, so I wouldn't say that. Um, I would say closer to being, well, as I said, the question for number one is Goodfellas. So, yeah. But as far as younger, all the Disney stuff. I was a Disney kid. Editing style, unlike many critics, use heavy scripts. KB often records his takes raw to maintain conversation on it. I'm glad you observed that. I try not to write down too much. I don't write down too many. I'll do research on a guest and I'll have them as like outlines. So I tell every guest, and if you've been on, you can confirm this. I have a whole list of questions, but I don't care if I get to them outside of the 5 takes. If we're having a good conversation and it's a vibe and you're asking me questions, we're going back and forth, like a real conversation. I don't care about my notes because what we're talking about is a lot more interesting. The podcast, see if it, yeah, we already just spoke about that. Horror taste. He loves slashers like Scream. He's a big fan of elevated horror and recently gave a perfect score to the body horror film The Substance. Yeah, but I definitely prefer Nightmare on Elm Street between the two Wes Craven franchises. Um, Scott Adkins. Don't forget about Scott Adkins. Feel like Alan Richardson will join action movie ranks, so that's that. He needs more opportunities because people already associate him with a show, and it's hard to make that transition TV to movies or vice versa. Like I was thinking about a lot of the SNL cast, they had a hard transition, besides the biggies like Eddie Murphy, Will Ferrell, they had a hard transition making it in movies. And it's sad because they're natural comedians, especially now we know that comedy is kind of taking a backseat to other genres today in movies. So I would like to see him get that role, but he has to break out from TV first. Okay. I would set out keep it about an hour, so we're about 10 to. I want to thank everyone for checking it out. If you're checking it out on replay, please leave a like, leave a comment, let us know what you think. I saw your one last comment here, a question. Hello, Mark. Which current 4K release is the best? So I can't fully answer this question, but I will tell you this. I have bought the Blu-ray of Lawrence of Arabia and Ben-Hur less than a month later on each release, they announced the 4K. So I literally just got Ben-Hur like a few months ago on Whatnot. And I said, as soon as I do this, they're going to announce a 4K. But I'm hearing wonderful things about that 4K. And I'm going to try to cop me at least a slipcover version of it. It's a 4-hour movie, so I really don't want to pay more than $20 for it. But it is coming up on Easter time, and it's a Best Picture winner, so it's also something I probably want to watch before March 15th for my challenge. So I'll probably cop it and check it out, and it should be good. I'm hearing nothing but like disc of the year so far. type of things about Ben-Hur. So if you're trying to decide between the two, Lawrence of Arabia looks great. I got the 4K over here. That's another Best Picture winner. I have a Best Picture winner shelf. But Ben-Hur, and I feel bad. I just got the Blu-ray, but that the amount of buzz going on about the 4K, it's inevitable. I got to get it. Okay. With that said, thank you again for checking in. Everyone who's left a comment, left a chat, left a question, thank you again. Those of you on the replay, those of you lurking, we see you. We see you. Anyway, thanks for checking this out. I'm going to do this, so take my advice. Go watch a movie. It's still early in the night. Go watch a movie. Make it something good. Have a good one.